Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained, like someone unplugged your energy? Maybe it's that one person who always finds a way to get under your skin, or the one who turns every little thing into a problem, and even hours later, you're still thinking about what they said, wishing you'd responded differently. We all know someone like that. They leave a mess in your mind long after they're gone. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to carry that weight. In this video, we're not telling you to fight back. We're not about revenge or giving people a taste of their own medicine. We're here to talk about something different, a mindset that gives you back your peace without needing to say a word. This is about clarity, not conflict. Calm, not chaos. We're going to walk through a mindset that says, I don't owe you my peace. And the best part, it works. When you stop giving your energy to people who drain you, things start to shift. You think clearer, you feel lighter, you make space for what actually matters. The truth is, most of us were never taught how to protect our peace. We were raised to be polite, to keep the peace, to not make things uncomfortable. But at what cost? Your peace of mind shouldn't be the price you pay to keep someone else happy. So today, we're talking about a different kind of strength, the quiet kind. The kind that doesn't argue, doesn't explain, just steps away. And if this already sounds familiar, if any part of this hits home, take a second right now to like this video, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Even something simple like, ignoring is power. And if you know someone who's stuck in a draining situation, share this with them. This might be the shift they need. If you're ready to take your peace back, not next week, not someday, but today, then stay with us. Let's talk about how to cut the noise and keep your energy where it belongs. We've all been there, caught in someone else's drama like we're paying rent for thoughts that aren't even ours. You might feel the urge to help, to fix, to be the one who brings peace. But here's something you need to hear. You don't owe anyone your energy. We often give too much to people who only take. We think, if I just say it the right way, maybe they'll change. But most of the time they don't. And the more energy you spend trying to fix someone, the less you have left for yourself. Let's be clear. Your peace isn't something to be handed out freely to those who haven't earned it. It's not your job to carry someone else's emotional mess. And trying to change someone who doesn't want to change only leads to one thing: burnout. Here's the shift. You're not responsible for their moods. You're not responsible for their choices. What you are responsible for is your own reaction. And when you take control of that, that's powerful. That's when you stop living in reaction to someone else's behavior and start living from your own calm, focused center. This isn't about being cold. It's about protecting your mental space, the space you need to think clearly, to feel strong, to be yourself. So next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, remind yourself, clarity over confusion, peace over pressure. You're not here to fix them. You're here to protect you. Think back to a time when you tried to help someone who didn't want to be helped. Maybe it was a coworker who always criticized your ideas, no matter how supportive you were. Or a friend who stayed negative, even when you tried to lift them up. You gave your time, your energy, maybe even your peace, and nothing changed. That's what we mean when we say you're paying rent with your thoughts. You're investing in something you can't control, and it's costing you more than you realize. So here's a better option. Instead of pouring energy into someone who won't change, pour it into yourself. Let go of the need to fix. Let go of the urge to carry what isn't yours. That's not selfish. That's self-respect. Now we know this isn't an easy switch. Many of us grew up thinking that love means handling everything, that being a good person means being available no matter what. But real care doesn't mean letting yourself get torn down. It means knowing when enough is enough, Choosing your peace doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Living well doesn't come from changing everyone around you. It comes from managing what's going on inside you. And when you stop giving toxic energy a free pass into your mind, your life gets lighter, clearer, and a whole lot more free. Let me share a story. A friend of ours used to feel crushed after every phone call with a family member. No matter how kind or well-meaning she was, the conversation always turned critical. Her choices were questioned, her lifestyle picked apart, and every time, she walked away feeling small. The turning point? She started creating space. She didn't start a fight. She didn't cut them off. She just didn't stay on the phone as long. She didn't share as much. She stopped opening the door to the same emotional roller coaster, and everything changed. Not just the relationship, her confidence came back, her energy, her clarity, all because she protected her peace. And maybe that's exactly what you need to hear today. Protecting your peace doesn't always mean cutting someone off. Sometimes it just means stepping back, shifting the access, choosing when and how you engage. If you're wondering how to do this without guilt, start by remembering this. Your journey is your own. You're not turning your back on anyone. You're turning toward your own well-being. You don't have to carry guilt for choosing peace and caring for yourself. That's not selfish. That's what gives you the strength to live with intention, not reaction. Every small boundary you set builds into something bigger. Real peace. Think about it. How many times have you let someone's word stick with you all day? A comment that shouldn't have mattered, but it did. And suddenly, your mood, your focus, even your sleep takes a hit. But here's the thing. The moment you start saying no to that pattern, even once, you begin to take your peace back. You stop giving away mental space to voices that only bring stress. You start choosing what actually supports your mind. That shift might feel small at first, but the impact is huge because it breaks the cycle. Instead of feeling drained, you feel grounded. Instead of reacting, you reflect. And over time, it becomes natural, a new habit, a new mindset, a new version of you. So ask yourself this: what conversations leave you feeling heavier, not lighter? What patterns are you stuck in that don't serve you anymore? Start there. Name it. Then slowly, quietly, begin creating space from it. It doesn't need to be loud. You don't need to explain. You just stop participating in what drains you and start investing in what restores you. That's how peace begins. Let's be real. Saying no, setting limits, or creating space can feel wrong, like you're being cold or selfish, but it's not. Choosing your peace isn't rude, it's responsible. Because the truth is, some people, even people you care about, leave you feeling worse every time you interact. Maybe it's a parent who guilt trips you, a friend who only calls when they need something, or a coworker who always finds a way to make you feel small. You don't need to fight them. You don't need a dramatic goodbye. You just need to change your response. Answer less often. Stay kind, but keep it short. Protect your energy without making a scene. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. There's a woman we know who used to cry after every visit with her mom. The comments, the comparisons, the pressure, it got to her every time. Until one day she decided to leave early. No fight, no anger. Just a quiet choice. And you know what happened? Her confidence started to come back. She stopped trying to earn someone's approval. She started protecting her peace. That's the shift. It's not about cutting people off. It's about no longer sacrificing your mental health to keep the peace for someone else. You might think that stepping back means giving up, that walking away from drama is weakness, but it's actually the opposite. There's strength in choosing calm over chaos. Because when you stop reacting to everything, When you stop letting every comment get to you, something shifts. You start showing up differently. You feel more steady, more focused, more you. We knew a guy who used to dread every lunch with a coworker. The conversation always turned negative, about the company, about life, about him. Week after week, it chipped away at his confidence. One day, he just stopped going. Quietly. No announcement, and something amazing happened. His energy came back. His focus improved. He started feeling like himself again. That's what boundaries do. They don't just block the noise. They bring you back to you. So next time you're stuck in a draining situation, remember, you don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. You can just step back because your peace isn't up for debate. Here's something hard to accept. Just because someone's been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they should stay close. It could be a childhood friend, a long-term partner, even a family member. But if every interaction leaves you feeling drained, anxious, or small, something has to shift. And no, that doesn't mean you stop caring. It just means you care differently, from a distance. You don't have to respond right away. You don't have to share everything. You can be respectful without being constantly available. One woman told us how every time she saw her mom, she left feeling worthless, always being compared, always criticized. Until one day she started doing shorter visits, fewer phone calls, less sharing. The result? She felt lighter, stronger, not because her mom changed, but because she did. This is what it means to protect your peace without guilt. Being close to someone shouldn't mean sacrificing your mental health. If it does, the relationship needs to evolve or get some healthy space. You're allowed to shift how much of yourself you give. You're allowed to outgrow old patterns. That's not cold, that's healing. Let's talk about growth. Everyone wants to grow, to feel better, do better, live better. But growth doesn't happen in chaos. It doesn't happen when you're constantly managing tension, defending your choices, or shrinking to fit in. Growth needs space. You need room to think, to dream, to breathe. But when you're surrounded by people who mock your ideas, question your every move, or throw subtle shade masked as advice, that space disappears. There was a woman we knew who used to share all her creative ideas with, a close friend, but every time, the friend would shoot them down or make a joke out of it. Eventually, she stopped sharing. Then she stopped creating. It wasn't until she pulled back, not with drama, just quiet space, that the spark came back. 6 months later, she launched the project her friend had once laughed at, and that's the truth. Growth doesn't just need motivation. It needs the right environment. So ask yourself, are the people around you helping you grow or holding you back? Because real growth starts when you stop watering dead plants and start choosing where your energy goes. When people think of growth, they usually think of adding more effort, more goals, more hustle. But sometimes, the real progress starts with subtraction. It's not always about doing more. It's about letting go of toxic people, of draining habits, of old stories that keep you stuck. We knew someone who stayed in a job way too long. The work wasn't terrible, but the boss, always criticizing, always micromanaging. Over time, this person stopped believing they could do anything better. Then, one day, they quit. No big plan. Just a decision. I deserve better than this. And within a few months, everything changed. New work, new energy, a new sense of self-worth. Not because the world suddenly opened up, but because they finally created space for it to. Letting go feels scary, but staying stuck, that's the real danger. So if something no longer fits, a job, a friendship, a mindset, you don't have to force it to stay. You can release it. And by doing that, you open the door for what's next. We hear a lot about chasing success, building careers, hitting goals, making money. But here's the truth. Your real wealth isn't in your bank account. It's in your time and your energy. Those are your most valuable resources. And once they're gone, you don't get them back. That's why toxic relationships cost more than we realize. They don't just ruin your mood, they steal your focus, your hours, your mental clarity. Think about it. How much time have you spent replaying a conversation that should have ended in 5 minutes? Or explaining yourself to someone who was never really listening? That's not just lost time. That's energy theft. One guy we knew had a friend who would call at all hours, just to vent. No hello, no how are you, just problems. And our friend, being loyal, always picked up. Eventually his sleep got worse, his patience wore thin, his life started to suffer. The fix? He stopped answering late-night calls, no big talk, just a quiet boundary. And suddenly, he felt clearer, more rested, more himself. Because reclaiming your energy doesn't always mean cutting people off. Sometimes it just means saying, not right now. That small shift, it can change everything. Saying no isn't always easy, especially if you're used to pleasing people or avoiding conflict. But every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that could have lifted you, your peace, your focus, your goals, your rest, and that's too high a price to pay. We're not saying cut everyone off, but we are saying you get to choose how much access people have to you. Not everyone needs a front row seat in your life. Some people, they belong in the balcony. Some don't even need a ticket. This isn't about being rude. It's about being conscious. Start paying attention to how you feel after a conversation. Do you feel calm or tense? That's not random. That's your body telling you something. When you listen, things shift. You stop overcommitting. You stop explaining yourself. You create space for joy, for rest, for real growth. Because once you start treating your energy like the limited resource it is, you stop wasting it on things that don't deserve it. And you start showing up for yourself, fully. That's when everything starts to change. There's a kind of silence that feels heavy. Like when you share something you're proud of, and instead of support, you get a joke, a shrug, or a quiet dig. It's subtle, but it cuts deep. Over time, it chips away at your confidence. Not in one big moment, but little by little. That's not tough love. That's manipulation. And protecting your self-esteem starts by noticing who makes you feel small. It's easy to say, just don't let it get to you. But in real life, it does get to you, especially when it comes from someone close, a friend, a partner, a parent. When those people constantly downplay your wins or plant seeds of doubt, it messes with your mind. You start second-guessing yourself. You stop showing up fully. But here's what you need to remember. Their insecurity isn't your truth. You don't need to defend your joy. You don't have to explain your confidence. You don't owe anyone your light. There's a woman we knew who worked in marketing. Every time she came home excited about a win, her partner would say something like, "Don't get used to it," or "Must have been easy." Eventually, she stopped sharing. Then, she stopped celebrating altogether. Until one day, she realized it wasn't about the job. It was about how small she was making herself to stay close to someone who didn't support her. That's when everything changed. Because confidence doesn't grow in criticism, it grows in safety. And if someone can't handle your shine, it's okay to protect it. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't what people say, it's how often they say it. The sarcastic jokes, the passive-aggressive comments, the subtle digs that make you second-guess yourself even when you know better, and you start shrinking. You speak less. You stop sharing wins. You play small, just to keep things easy. But here's the truth. Your peace isn't worth sacrificing just to avoid conflict. You're allowed to feel proud. You're allowed to be excited. You're allowed to set limits with people who keep throwing shade. Even if they're close to you, You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. Sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing at all. Let them wonder. Let the silence speak. We knew someone who used to post their art online, small things, but it made them happy. One friend always had something. Sarcastic to say, "Still doing that little hobby?" or "That's cute." Eventually they stopped posting. Until one day they blocked that friend from their page. No fight, no big statement, just distance, and after that, they started creating again, freely. The joy came back. The confidence returned. That's not being dramatic. That's being protective. Your self-esteem needs space to breathe. And if someone keeps choking it with criticism, it's okay to step back. Not with anger, with clarity, because you're not here to make yourself smaller, just to stay connected. You're here to live fully. There's a kind of peace that doesn't come from a vacation or a playlist. It comes from space, real, intentional space, the kind that separates you from the noise, the tension, the constant drama. You know that feeling when you wake up and you're not bracing for a message that ruins your mood, or when your phone rings and your chest doesn't tighten. That's peace, not emptiness, not isolation, just calm. And here's the thing, distance gets a bad rep. People think it means being cold or cutting others off, but sometimes distance is the healthiest choice you can make. You don't need to disappear. You just stop over-engaging. You stop making yourself available for every mood swing, every guilt trip, every argument. That's how you protect your peace. We knew someone who had a brother who turned every conversation into an argument. No matter the topic, it always ended in tension. He tried everything, staying calm, avoiding certain subjects, even walking on eggshells. Nothing worked. So he stopped answering every call. He replied when he had the energy, kept conversations short, stayed kind, but didn't overexpose himself. The result? Less stress, less noise, more peace. That's the power of emotional distance. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself too. Some people leave a room, but their energy stays. You keep replaying what they said. You wonder if they're upset. You second-guess your words. That's not peace. That's emotional residue, and over time it wears you down. But here's the shift. When you create space, and even just a little, their energy loses its grip on your day. You don't have to explain why you're pulling back. You don't owe them a speech. Your absence will say enough. We heard about a woman who had a boss who constantly micromanaged her. She couldn't quit immediately, but she made one quiet change. She stopped internalizing everything. Instead of reacting in the moment, she started writing things down. She gave herself time to breathe, to process, to respond on her terms, and over time, her anxiety faded. Same job, same boss, but less emotional weight. Because peace isn't just about walking away. Sometimes it's about pulling back emotionally, while still showing up where you need to. So ask yourself, who has too much access to your inner world? Who lives rent-free in your head? You can still care. You can still be respectful, but you don't have to give everyone a key to your peace. Protect it, quietly, consistently, because not everyone should have that kind of power in your life. It's easy to think that when you let go of someone toxic, you're losing something, a bond, a shared history, maybe even a part of your identity. But more often than not, you're not losing, you're making room. Because here's what we've seen again and again, when you stop entertaining chaos, better connections show up. Calmer conversations, people who actually support you. The kind of energy that feels light, not heavy, but that energy won't show up while your life is still crowded with noise. We knew someone who held on to a friendship for years. Lots of shared memories, but also lots of tension, unspoken jealousy, little digs that added up. One day she stopped reaching out, no fight, just space, and something unexpected happened. She didn't feel lonely. She felt free, Soon, she started attracting new people, ones who listened, who celebrated her wins, who didn't compete. That shift only happened because she created room for it. So if you're in that awkward in-between, where you've stepped back but haven't filled the space yet, that's okay. That's where growth starts. It might feel uncomfortable, but stay with it. Don't rush to fill the gap just to feel connected again. Hold the standard. Protect the space. The right people will come. And this time, you'll know the difference. When we think about stress, we usually picture someone overthinking or lying awake at night. But stress doesn't just stay in your head. It shows up in your body, that tight chest, the constant fatigue, the tension in your neck, the headaches that come out of nowhere. Sometimes those aren't just health issues, they're people issues, because the body feels what the mind won't always admit. We knew someone who had stomach pain for years. They tried everything, diets, doctors, supplements. Nothing helped. Then they ended a relationship that had been weighing them down, emotionally draining, always walking on eggshells, and slowly, the symptoms faded. It wasn't a miracle. It was biology. When the nervous system feels safe again, the body can finally relax. Think about how you feel after talking to certain people. Some leave you calm, others spike your heart rate before they even speak. That's not just in your head. That's your body sounding the alarm. You don't need a medical degree to understand this. Protecting your mental space protects your physical health too. So if your body has been trying to tell you something, listen. It's not weak to step away. It's wise. When you start cutting out the drama, something shifts, and fast. Your mind clears up. You stop spending hours replaying arguments, decoding texts, or prepping for conversations that never go well. All that mental space, it becomes fuel. And suddenly, the things you've been putting off, the project, the dream, the goal, start moving again. Not because you have more time, but because you finally have your energy back. We knew someone who loved to paint. It brought her peace. But a friend kept teasing her. Still doing your little hobby? You think that's going anywhere? Eventually, she stopped painting. The doubt got in her head. Then one day she stopped sharing with that friend. No drama, just distance. And just like that, the creativity came back. Not overnight, but naturally. Because when your energy isn't being drained, it finds its way back to what you love. This is why ignoring toxicity isn't avoidance, it's a strategy. It's how you reclaim your focus. You don't need another productivity hack. You need less noise. Because when your emotional space is steady, your ideas flow, your confidence grows. You start finishing things again, and it feels good, not just to dream, but to actually build. There's a kind of strength that doesn't shout. It doesn't argue. It doesn't prove a point. It just stays calm. That's emotional resilience. It shows up when you stop reacting to every jab, when you stop letting someone else's chaos pull you out of character, when you breathe instead of break. We knew someone who used to argue with a sibling all the time. One comment would spark hours of tension, then days of silence. It was a cycle until one day they tried something new. When the drama started, they just said, okay, and changed the subject. No fight, no defense, just peace. And the argument? It fizzled. Because when you stop giving people something to push against, the conflict loses power. This isn't about bottling things up. It's about choosing your energy on purpose. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every criticism deserves a reaction. Sometimes the strongest move is no move at all. That's not weakness, that's control. And every time you choose calm over chaos, you get stronger. Even if nobody else sees it, you will feel it. After all the noise, all the drama, all the emotional exhaustion, it comes down to one thing: your values. That's your anchor. That's your filter. Choosing peace, setting boundaries, walking away. None of that is about ego. It's not about proving anything. It's about staying aligned with who you want to be. You don't have to match someone's chaos to protect yourself. You don't have to fight to feel seen. You don't have to shrink to stay connected. You can just decide, I'm not betraying myself anymore. We knew someone who used to twist themselves to fit in, laugh at things they didn't agree with, say yes when they wanted to say no just to avoid awkwardness. One day they stopped performing. They started making choices that felt honest, clear, aligned. At first, some people drifted away, but others showed up. Real ones. The kind who didn't need them to shrink, the kind who respected their peace, and most importantly, they liked themselves more. That's what happens when you live by your values, not by fear, not by guilt. You don't just feel calmer, you feel free. If you've made it this far, thank you. Seriously, your time matters, and we hope this gave you something real to hold on to. So let's bring it all home. Letting go of toxic people isn't about cutting ties for the sake of drama. It's not cold. It's not heartless. It's healthy. It's about finally choosing you, your peace, your clarity, your future. Because you don't have to carry what's not yours. You don't have to keep giving energy to people who only take. You don't have to shrink just to stay connected. Your peace is your responsibility. No one else will protect it for you, and that's okay, because you're strong enough to do it yourself. So here's what we want you to remember. You don't need to react to stay strong. You don't need to explain your boundaries. You don't need to apologize for choosing clarity over chaos. You're not being difficult, you're being clear. And every time you choose peace, and even if no one notices, and that's growth. If this message hit home, take a second to like the video, subscribe if you haven't yet. Drop a comment, even something simple like, ignoring is power. And if someone in your life is struggling to let go, send this to them. They might not need advice, just a reminder that they're not crazy for wanting peace. At the end of the day, remember this. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to chase love, respect, or approval. The right people will respect your peace, and the wrong ones won't survive your silence. Stay true to yourself, protect your energy, and never forget, letting go doesn't make you weak. It makes you free.